Well, we have another, gosh, we have a lot of great music today. We have another guest for you. I wasn't going to share with you because I wasn't quite sure if she was going to be able to be here today. But I'm really thrilled to welcome from the other side of life, the legendary Miss Peggy Lee.
My house caught on fire. I'll never forget the look on my father's face as he gathered me up in his arms and raced through the burning building out onto the pavement. I stood there shivering in my pajamas. And I said to myself, is that all there is to a fire? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball. If that's all there is. And when I was 11, my father took me to the circus. It's the greatest show on earth. And there were clowns and elephants and dancing bears. And as I sat there watching this marvelous spectacle, I couldn't help but feel like something was missing. And I said to myself, is that all there is to the circus? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball. If that's all there is.
Miss Lee, thank you so much. That was really lovely. We have a daily word waiting backstage for you. Thank you very much. Miss Peggy Lee, everyone, thank you so very much. Do you remember that song? If you're a little on the young side, you may not. And you would think, was that ever a hit? I remember when I was a kid, Gary and I were talking about it, when I was a kid in the 60s listening, there was something weirdly hypnotic about the song, but I was always so depressed. After listening to that, I put the Monkees on or something. It was just brought me into like this existential angst kind of a feeling. And I couldn't understand why it was such a, well, obviously it hit a nerve with a lot of people because it was a huge hit. You know, even though we are spiritual beings having a human adventure, as we say here at Unity, we have a tendency to get bogged down in the muck and the mire of the human condition. Our daily lives quite often appear to be one series of challenges after another. The house burning down, the circus being less than wonderful, and other joyful things that we have to get through every day. As Shakespeare said, oh, how full of briars is this working day world. Or as Charlie Brown put it, I have a new philosophy. I'm only going to dread one day at a time. And in the midst of our anxiety, if we have the time to think about it, with paying bills, making ends meet, keeping up with the ongoing obligations that we simply have every day here, we may think to ourselves, is this really all it is? Is this my life? Is this what my life is going to be from now on? Just paying the bills, just trying to get through, owing Visa and my landlord and all these other companies that every time I go to the mailbox, it seems like somebody wants my money. To work at a job simply because it pays well, but is not really that creatively satisfying. Is my life about going from paycheck to paycheck with maybe enough for a week's vacation once a year? Am I here just for the convenience of everybody else? To be a dutiful mother, to be a hardworking husband, a good son, a competent employee. Is that all there is? There are some people who say that we are born and we die and everything else is filler. Just waiting. There's a Cantor and Ebb lyric from Zorba, the Greek. Life is what you do till the moment you die. Okay. And even if we have the best things in life, even if we have really fun toys to play with, it's no assurance that the material things are going to bring us any joy. How much joy has any Apple product really brought to you? I mean, they're fun. I love my little doodads and my bows things. But is it my life? No. They're fun. We were in the Gucci store yesterday. I live across the street from that little Neiman Marcus Gucci Louis Vuitton place. Feels like I'm back at Fifth Avenue in New York. So we were walking through and I was looking at people. Gary was looking at bags and I was looking at people. And nobody looked happy. Nobody looked happy in there. How much is that? 5,000. But nobody seemed to take any great joy in what they were doing, shopping, looking. It was really interesting to see people, the things that they were putting so much money out for were not making them happy. The writer of Ecclesiastes was having great difficulty himself making any sense of life and what really brought joy. At one point in the book he wrote, I made great works. I built houses and planted gardens and parks. I bought male and female slaves. I also had great possessions of herds and flocks. I had gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasures of kings and of provinces. I got female and male singers. Okay. And delights of the flesh and many concubines. Whatever my eyes desired, I could not keep from them. Then I considered all that my hands had done and the toil I had spent in doing it, and all was vanity and chasing after the wind. So he said, after all the stuff you got, all that you were looking for, and you got it, then what was left? Most of the challenges that we have with our lives don't really have to do with wanting more stuff. I mean, occasionally that could be an issue at times. Even if we think that we're creating prosperity or eliminating debt and have all the material good that we want in life, there is always something more. There's always something more, and it isn't more Gucci, and it's not more Louis Vuitton, and it's not more Neiman Marcus. The stuff can be fun, absolutely fun, but it's not the essentialness of your life or my life. Even if your apartment or your home should burn down with every worldly possession, you did not lose you. You didn't lose you at all. Now, being in these human bodies, as I mentioned last week, we will grieve losing things, losing people. Yes, part of the condition here is we lose things, we grieve, we go through that healing process, and then we move on. But you did not lose you. Thomas Edison's whole laboratory burned down with everything he ever did in there. All the notes, every invention, gone. And as he was watching the fire, he said to his assistant, well, I guess we have the opportunity to begin again. Wow. Wow. But the important thing is you are not your stuff. He knew that. Like, okay, I wrote that out. It's here somewhere. Came from Spirit. I can do it again. Your stuff is not you. You're complete already. You're perfect already. Everything you need is already inside of you. You have to rebuild again? Okay. We all do it at some point in our lives. We came to planet Earth to fulfill our mission of bringing forth more of the creative expression of who we are as spiritual beings. That's why we're here. Not to buy stuff, not to pay the landlord, not to owe the landlord our lives, but to express the perfect, wonderful, joyful, powerful you that you are. We came to express the God essence that we are, and that's about manifesting our talents and our gifts. You are a divine artist. I mentioned last week, this is probably my main credo. You are a divine artist of life. You have within you the talents and the gifts you need to bring forth your abundance and to be a blessing to the planet. Rafe does that. David does that. So many of us understand this is my talent, this is my gift. It gives me joy to get out of bed in the morning, to create this, to be a blessing, and to receive what I need to continue my life here. So I want you to entertain when I say the word artist. I'm not talking just singing, dancing, pottery, whatever it might be. Those are all wonderful and joyful and great in themselves. But it's limited. I did a workshop years ago called The Divine Artist Within. And people attended. I had about 50 people come to that retreat, and it was really joyful. And I decided, Unity Village said, why don't you do it here? And I did, and only 12 people signed up. And they were very curious, and they called others who came to all the retreats and said, why aren't you signing up? They said, oh, I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist. Oh, I don't do that kind of thing. And they tried to explain where I was coming from, and they just couldn't hear it. Oh, I can't draw. I can't sing. So this is not my retreat. It was very sad. I want everybody here to understand you are an artist of your life, whether you sing or dance or cook or paint or design, or you're an accountant, or you're a homemaker. My grandmother's garden was astonishing. People came from miles around to see her garden. She was an artist of life. She the best Italian food in the world because she did it with love. So whatever you do with love and joy you're putting out to the planet, you're going to get back more than ever. And you're going to be a blessing to those who hear or experience your art. A long time ago, in a church in a small village in Eastern Europe, an altar boy was serving the priest a Sunday Mass, and he dropped a cruet of wine. The village priest struck the boy across the face and said, "Get out of my church. Never come back here." That boy became Tito, the communist leader of Yugoslavia. Oh, I know. In another church, at another time, an altar boy serving the bishop at Sunday Mass dropped the cruet of wine accidentally. The priest smiled as the boy bent down to help him pick it up and whispered, someday you're going to be a priest. That boy turned out to be the Archbishop Fulton Sheen. Two totally different experiences. Our words matter. What we do matters. How we treat others matters. We can build up or we can tear down with a word or a phrase and direct a person on their way. What did you hear in your life that directed you in one way or another? How many of us had a teacher, a parent, or some authority figure who didn't allow the joy in themselves to come forth? So when they saw the joy that you wanted to do, when they saw the art that you wanted to express, said to you, "Oh, that's too hard. You'll starve. Don't be stupid. Get a real job. You need to be practical. Get your head out of the clouds." I mean, even at Unity Village in our ministerial class, we had teachers who couldn't, for some reason or another, do this work of being in front of you in the center of the church. So they went back to Unity Village to teach, and so what they taught us was their experience. They said, look out for boards. The boards are going to get you. Look out for the congregants. They're just going to criticize. They're going to tell you how they hate their furniture being moved around. It's going to be miserable, but God called you to do it, so just hang in there, look out. And essentially that hasn't been my experience. I love what I do. This is the best job in the world. I love being up here and sharing truth and go, I get paid to do this. This is just amazing. I love my work because it's not work. If you love your work, it's not work. If you're not loving your work, you got to think about that and say, maybe I should do something else. Maybe Spirit is calling me to do something else in my life that would give me great joy. So meditate on that. What are you doing in your life? If you're not living joy, then perhaps I need to rethink that. If you've ever seen a chorus line, you saw how successful working artists like the dancers in the show were obsessed and still in pain about what they heard in their childhood. Go to medical school, forget dancing. You're not pretty, you're special. You've got great personality. You take after your father's side of the family, the ugly side. These words stay with us the rest of our lives until we're willing to let them go because they're not the truth of who we are. But there's another kind of child abuse that we don't hear of very often, and it's soul abuse. It eats at the very fiber of our children and creates frightened and depressed adults. It creates dysfunctional adults who feel the need to break out the booze and have a ball. Because you can't have a ball without the booze. Can't even go and meet people unless you're drunk. Because we've learned this is the way I have of coping with the pain of the disillusioned dreams and desires and hopes that I thought were going to come true by now. I guess, and I've heard this, I guess God doesn't love me because I don't have it. The way that we have found to drown out the voices that continually remind us of our goals, aspirations, and dreams we missed out on is to blot out the pain. But we're blotting out the joy as well. As Stephen Sondheim so brilliantly wrote in the musical Into the Woods, careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. In Mark 10, Jesus saw that the disciples were trying to keep the children away from him. He was pretty upset by that. He said, don't stop them. They're the ones I want to see. Let them come here. For to them is the kingdom, the realm of spirit. He said, truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child shall not enter it. Do you feel like a child when you're at work? You feel so excited and happy about what you're doing there? You just want to bounce, but you know you're an adult, so you try to keep it down a little bit. But I bounce to my office all the time. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is great. This is a great building. I haven't had so much room to play with in such a long time. Usually it's one little room somewhere in a nursing home. I go, oh, that's great. Which is lovely, but it's not this. It's not this wonderful space that we get to create. You get this wonderful space to create in. This is just a wonderful blessing. So here's the key. What Jesus said is the key to recovering and rediscovering the holy talents and gifts and that childlike joy of living that we still have maybe really, really deep within, but still there. It's never dead. To become the whole, perfect, joyful, fulfilled person we were meant to be, we have to rediscover the awesomeness of who we are, of our innocence, of our pure divine light essence that was dimmed very early in childhood for many of us. This innocence is our divine artist that you ignore and put away and think, oh, that's childish. That was what it was. Yeah, you may be John the waiter or Mary the receptionist or Shirley the cashier. But what is your gift to yourself and ultimately to this planet in this divine childhood, this divine child artist within? John the waiter may also be John the novelist, but is afraid of revealing his art because his teacher told him his writing wasn't great. Mary always wanted to be a dancer, but her instructor said, you're too short to be a dancer. You'll never get into a company. Well, so what? Mary was one of the best dancers the school ever turned out, but she figured, oh, what's the use? Which is a more active cousin to is that all there is? Shirley the cashier wanted to be a lawyer, but her father told her that she had family obligations to take care of her brothers and sisters now that her mother was gone. And she said, all right. My aunt did that. My aunt passed away a few months ago. She always wanted to be a foreign correspondent. She was great at languages. But my grandmother and grandfather said, it's your duty to take care of us. So she said yes. Shirley had the grades, the talents, the scholarship, but her father kept saying, selfish and irresponsible when it came to what she really wanted to do. There are three enemies of expressing our sacred talents. They are, I'm too old, I don't have enough money, and I'm not good enough. You're never too old to create the power of God in your life. Never, 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 never too old. God is not old in you. God is the power within you. We begin to feel old when we say, I am old. Yes, second row? Yes. Total, they're older than our country. But they're younger than anybody else here. Because they understand, they know the truth. Spirit within us. When you begin to feel old, you're calling forth an untruth. Yeah, we're aging. I like to say ripening. I ripen, I get sweeter, maybe a little mushier, but I get sweeter along the same way. So calling yourself too old to do something is not the truth. Now, the ideas that you have, if you have a divine idea to do something in your life, may look a little different than what you had in mind when you were 20. If you're 50 or 60, you probably will not play Mimi and La Boheme. But you can join a choir. You can sing, go to a karaoke bar, you may get discovered. By the bartender, but you might get discovered. Expressing one's talent joyfully and enthusiastically, no matter where you do it, is one of the most healing activities we can do. And when you put your talent out there, it will come back. The good will come back to you, triple, 100, a millionfold, if you're open and receptive to it. It's only in expressing the God self that we truly are that we find the joy and the peace and the healing power of that creativity that we've been looking for our whole lives. Many of us think that to be prosperous means to have the jewel, to be able to go to Gucci at any time and just plunk down a couple of thousand. That's not prosperity. Having a summer home in Palm Springs or having Jaguars, again, those things are fun, they're stuff. But it's not the essence of who we are. They aren't prosperity, they're things. We get that? They're things. And if it's important to you to get them, then you can do the mind stuff that we teach in Unity to get it. I call that old prosperity. New prosperity is to accept all the good that God has for us and enjoying it tremendously. Enjoying the friendships and the fun and the food and the wonderful community we have here. That's real prosperity. And the money that we need to live the life is also included in that. True prosperity is expressing the divine artists that we are. Knowing that Spirit is there and available and everything I need is coming forth. How? I don't know, but I know it is. I just have to let go and let it happen. If we aren't in that joyful state, if we are in a state of constant depression and fear, then our prayers for abundance aren't going to add up to anything. Because we're feeling depressed and despondent, we're asking, oh God, please let this abundance come forth, and they're canceling each other out. So we wonder, why isn't the universe, God, answering our prayers? Well, the inner prayer that we've been praying has been stronger than the mouth prayer. Your words, whatever you're saying is a prayer. I really want us all to get that. Whatever you've been affirming with power is a prayer, positively or negatively. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, I just don't see how I'm going to escape this horrible job. Well, that's a prayer. We're telling the universe, I'm not going to escape this horrible job. And they wonder why the job gets more horrible and they can't see a way out of it. Because we're powerful. We just told the universe, I cannot see how to get out of this horrible job. And the universe goes, okay. Weird prayer, but okay. Now, it doesn't sound like a prayer, but by vigorously stating this, the universe will agree quickly with whatever we say. Not only are you going to be more confused, but your job, again, is going to get more horrible and more horrible and more horrible. Rather, our prayer should be, I am grateful for the revelation of new and creative, satisfying work. I can't wait to see how the universe is going to work this out. What do I do first? Oh boy, yippee. That's our affirmation, yippee. Together? Yippee! I like yippee better than, my husband never cleans up. I don't know what to do. He never cleans up. And guess what? The universe and your husband hear that. Guess she doesn't want me to clean up. I got a prayer once in Silent Unity. It said, I want prayers that God makes my husband do the dishes. I'm not kidding. I want prayers that my husband, and it was like my second night, I didn't know what to pray. I'm looking through all my files for a husband doing dishes prayers. The divine order is at work and your husband knows exactly what to do. Honey, Silent Unity said do the dishes. I didn't say that, but okay. God bless you, dear one. My kids are driving me crazy. Okay. The traffic in Bellevue is killing me. Amen. If you affirm that, let me know when you're driving, and I'll stay home. What other prayers are we praying all day long like that? Shakespeare said, my crown is in my heart, not my head. Not decked with diamonds and Indian stones, nor to be seen. My crown is called content. The peace of God is what we're looking for. I love that line from A Course in Miracles. The peace of God is all I want. Because it's all there is. Everything else comes out of that peace. The joy, the abundance, the creativity, the love, the relationships, health, all comes out of knowing God and I are one. That's the very beginning of everything. To find contentment, we have to look within and become that child of God and feel awe. Just awe. I look at this place every day and go, I'm so filled with awe that I have this wonderful playground. Actually, awe. Wow. It's wonderful. So within our souls, we're longing. Spirit within us is longing for our art to come out. What is your art? What are you here to share with the planet? Cooking? Are you a good cook? We could use you in the fellowship room, the friendship room. You want to help out? We'd love it. That's great. At one time we had a hard time in San Francisco, the church I was in. We had a hard time finding people to do coffee. And my credo is, if nobody wants to make coffee, apparently nobody wants coffee. When I shared that, 5 people stepped forward to make coffee. So I said, if you want it, then people say, why don't we do this? And my answer to you will be, go for it. No, I didn't mean me, I meant somebody else. No, God meant you. God brought you here to do this. If you really want this, then let's do that. If you want to sing, join the choir. We could use more in the choir. You ever want to play the piano or drums? Hire a musician. They'd love to get paid to teach you to do something. They'd love that. What did you ever want to do? It's not too late. The only question is, why have we allowed it to remain blocked all this time? Rather than saying, is that all there is? Is that all there is to my life? We ask, why am I not allowing God full access to my heart, my soul, my body, everything? Why have I not accepted the fullest and the best the universe has waiting for me to claim? Why have I allowed a number on my birth certificate to determine my good today? You'd like to go back to school and get a degree, but you'll be 70 when you graduate in 4 years. How old will you be in 4 years if you don't go to school? True story. A few years ago, a woman in a nursing home was given a party to celebrate her 100th birthday. A reporter from the local paper came to interview this very energetic and very high-spirited woman, and when she was asked, do you have any children? She replied, not yet. She obviously knew it isn't how old you are, it's how you are old. And probably the biggest lie that we believe is, I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough to do that. It's a lie. Not good enough is never anything you will hear from Spirit within. Never. Not good enough is an old recording that you heard when you were a kid or sometime in your life, and you owned it. You bought that recording, you installed it, and you keep playing it over and over again, as I have done myself. We're more than good enough because God doesn't create junk. Spirit never created anything that was less than. No matter what you heard from your parents, your teachers, well-meaning friends, or experts, so-called experts, you have within you an incredible power to have the kind of life that you would like to have. By simply accepting and letting Spirit move forward to reveal what it is. Quit listening to experts. They don't know anything. They know nothing. Especially those experts in our lives like family members and friends who love to tell us what to do. How good are their lives? Well, that's easier to ignore because you're so much easier to work with because you're over there and I'm here. To say thank you for sharing and move on. God within you, Spirit, divine intelligence, life, love, is the only expert we ever need. In the late 1800s, management at Western Union declared the telephone has too many shortcomings to be considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. How many people have a phone? One of two of you do, because I heard it this morning, yes, so I know the phones are here. In 1923, Nobel Prize-winning physicist Robert Millikan said, "There is no likelihood we will ever tap the power of the atom." That was only 1923. 1977, the president of Digital Equipment Corporation announced that there is no reason anybody would want a computer in the home. How many of us have a computer in the home? How many of you have a computer in your bag called a smartphone? We have those. We can't imagine. I left my phone home the other day. I thought my left arm was gone. My phone is... Fred Smith, a business major at Yale, presented an idea to his business professor. His comment on the paper was, in order to earn better than a C, your ideas must be feasible. The idea in the paper was FedEx. He got a C for the idea of Federal Express. So much for the experts. What have you been told by the experts? You don't have the talent, you don't have what it takes. You're a limitation, so-called, will get in your way from doing this, so you better do that. There's too much competition. I want you to really get this. There's no competition in spirit. The only competition is you and your mind. If you go for a job interview, it's yours or it isn't. If there are 200 people there and it's your job, just say thank you. You can get rid of the job, you can blow it. You cannot open yourself up to be the authentic you, but you can't take another person's job. That's impossible. So all you're doing is you're going to show up and say, thank you, Spirit. I am open and receptive. If this is mine, thank you. If not, I move on. What do you keep telling yourself over and over again in life? You'll never amount to anything. Nobody will ever hire you. No one will ever love you. No one cares if you're here or not. That's all there is to it. These are lies. These are not the truth of you at all. The truth about you is found in Psalm 8:5. You have made humankind little less than God and crowned with glory and honor. Little less than God. You're a baby God coming to the full realization of your absolute power and divinity. You are a powerful, joyful, wonderful, created being of love, light, joy, and good. That's who you and I are. Don't try to convince yourself of this truth. We have to go within. Our ego can never understand this. When we try to make sense of it up here, it doesn't. It only makes sense in the heart.